Rafina, one of the advisors for Education USA here in America, who is ready to help you with your study plan in the United States. We can help you with many things, and here are some of the services that we provide for you guys. And how can you get access to any of this? Very easy. Simply email us to jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org. We look forward to it.
Hello, everybody. Greetings from America in Jakarta. We're here today to celebrate International Fact-Checking Day. A very special greeting out to our co-host, Dosti House in Mumbai, and also the American Center in Kathmandu. And a special welcome to all of our online viewers in India, in Indonesia, Nepal, and even the Philippines. So greetings out to all of you. Today we have a very special program. If the 1st of April is the day, April Fool's Day, April 2nd is the day for facts. And fact-checking is such an important component of what we do every day when we're consuming content, even more so in this time of unprecedented public health crisis of COVID-19. It is so important for us to be able to verify and to check effectively the sources of information that we are getting, because misinformation and disinformation can cause havoc, can cause chaos, can even cause deaths unnecessarily. And we all have a role to play in this. So we are delighted to have a special panel for us to talk about fact-checking efforts across the Indo-Pacific region today. And I have a special greeting out to our moderator, Devie. Please wave for us, Devie. Hello there. I'd like to introduce Devie, Ms. Dr. Devie Rahmawati, who is the Student Affairs Director at Universitas Indonesia. She has a doctoral degree in Communication Studies from Universitas Pajajaran and Swansea University in the UK. And she's also a researcher and social activist who has won several awards and scholarship for her work, particularly in information and digital literacy. And she has an esteemed professional career as a journalist, a communications consultant, a government public relations, working with corporations, and also the NGO sector. So thank you so much for joining us today, Devie. How are you doing?
Very nice, very fine. Thank you so much, Scott.
Well, thank you for joining us. I know we have a couple of other esteemed guests today that are going to help us through our journey to learn more about how fact-checking is moving right now. So over to you to introduce our other speakers today.
Great. Thank you, Scott, our regional public engagement specialist from U.S. Embassy. What a lovely remarks. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this live streaming presentation with America. My name is Devie, and I will be your moderator for this 2-hour discussion. Today, we will be doing two things. First, we will have presentation from 3 honorable speakers from Indonesia, Nepal, and India. Each speaker will talk in 8 to 10 minutes. But after that, we're gonna have Q&A session. We want to address as many questions as we can. So we have a great team from America to help us with the social media. We ask for you to write question first and then give us 1 or 2 sentences to help us understand the context. If you would like a specific speaker to answer the question, please mention the speaker's name first, then the question, then the context. So a new era of information warfare has arrived. Various actors are weaponizing information on online social networks to run false information campaigns with targeted manipulation of public opinion on specific topics. This false information campaign can have dire consequences to the public, mutating their opinions and action, especially with respect to critical world events like major election and COVID-19 outbreaks. So how is the best way to battle fake news and other forms of online information? Learn how fact checkers from Indo-Pacific countries, Indonesia, India, Nepal are seeking truth and combating this fake news issue. Let's us start with Jakarta speaker, Miss Ruth Rismanta Silalahi. She is an alumni of U.S. Department of State International Visitor Leadership Program on Faith-Based Journalism in Digital Age 2019. She's also a lecturer of communication studies at one of prestigious university in Indonesia, UPN Jogja. She also an anti-hoax activist at REDAXI and Mavindo, a civil society organization that have spearheaded many anti-hoax initiatives such as crowdsource, hoax busting, digital literacy education for the public, checkfakta.com, and public campaign to raise awareness about hoax and its dangers. All right, everyone, I give you Miss Ruth Silalahi. Please, Miss Ruth.
Hi, Devie.
Hello.
Okay, thank you. I just want to correct the information that you gave. I'm from UPN Jakarta, not Yogyakarta.
Okay, sorry for
Yeah,
that.
okay. So let me start my presentations. Hi, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about fighting the infodemic. We're in this together. Do you know what infodemic is? Infodemic is a shorthand for information's epidemic. It was coined by David Rothkopf in 2003, and he mentioned this term when he wrote an article in Washington Post for SARS epidemic. It has recently been used by the Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus. He said that we're not just fighting an epidemic, we're fighting an infodemic. Fake news spread faster and more easily than this virus and is just as dangerous. If we don't tackle this, we are headed down a dark path that leads nowhere but division and disharmony. So, infodemic is an overabundance of information, some accurate and some not. But that makes it hard for people to find trustworthy sources and guidance when they really need it. And, we're talking about COVID 19. It's everywhere. Everyone is talking about it. Abundance of information's overload. News about COVID 19 is, you can find it everywhere. It's in your family WhatsApp group, it's all over Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, news sites, and clogging our news feeds. And since almost anyone can publish informations on social media, we need to be very extra careful about the information's quality. Even it, even if it went viral, it doesn't necessarily mean it is legit. Actually, fake news has been around for many years. There have always been a people, there have always been people who want to fool us, as especially as spreading false information can get them money, power, or both. And there are always going to be people who fall for those false informations, even the most ridiculous one. Let me give you an example from Indonesia. Check this video one out. Wow. In that video, the baby appears to be in the middle of TV interview when a freaky looking mouth imposed to its lips and said that boiled eggs eaten before midnight can make one immune to the coronavirus. From the quality of the video, you can tell that it's a fake video. Who believes that video? Surprisingly, there are people who fall for that. The question is, why do people fall for fake news? There are several explanations, and I quote two scholars from Gordon Panico. He said that the reason people fall for fake news is because they are just being lazy, lazy thinker, cognitive miser, and they are not paying attention to the things that they are seeing. Another scholar is Jeff Hancock from Stanford School of Humanities and Sciences. He said that when people are fearful, they seek information to reduce uncertainty, and this can lead people to believe information that may be wrong or deceptive because it helps them to feel better or allows them to place blame about what's happening. We cannot allow fake news and disinformations floating around on social media. They are harmful. The spread of fake news could produce mass panic and public distrust to the government. And let's see Indonesia's situations. Communications and Information Minister Johnny G. Plate said that the ministry had found 196 hoaxes related to the COVID-19 spread as of Thursday, March 12, 2020. I'm sure the actual number is actually higher. And the list of the falsehood and the counter narratives are posted on the ministry websites. Now, reducing the spread of disinformation, especially on social media, is a major challenge. Why? Because people often share false news stories on social media far more than the fact check stories that debunk those stories. By the time fake information is out there in the world, it may be too late to get it back into the battle. But you don't have to be professional fact checker or professional journalist to sort fact from fiction online. How to spot fake news? Here's what you can do. First, stop and think. Please, please do not immediately forward any posts and messages about the coronavirus that is not verified yet. If you have any doubt, pause and check it out further. Second one, consider the source and consider the source's source. Ask some basic questions about where the informations come from. Fake news articles often do not include author names. Often the source is a friend of a friend, my aunt's colleague, well-educated uncle, doctor, an institution. At first glance, it may seem legitimate, but be careful. Is the source really reliable? If the source is even included, search the author's name online to see if he or she is well known and respected. The next one, you can assess the overall design of the informations because appearance can be deceptive. First one, ask yourself, does the news article or website seem high quality? Because fake news sites often look amateurs, have lots of annoying ads, and use altered or stolen image. Is the news outlet well known, well respected, trustworthy? If you haven't heard of the news outlet, search online for more information. Does the URL seem legitimate? Many fake news URLs look odd or end with .com.co or .lo. So check the legitimate news sites. Does the site profile detailed background and information and context? Check the About Us sections at the bottom of the website. Does the article have proper spelling, grammar, punctuations, and anything else? So if the article has misspelled words in all caps, poor grammar, it's probably unreliable. And if you're unsure whether it's true, don't share. Don't forward things on just in case they might be true. You might do more harm than good. Check each fact individually. Have you ever received a very long messages in your WhatsApp group about coronavirus? When you get sent a long list of advice, it's easy to believe everything in them just because you know for certain that one of the tips, say about hand washing, is true. But that's not always the case. And beware of emotional posts. Emotion fuels fake news. When you see something that makes you very happy, makes you super sad, makes you angry, it might be playing on your emotions to get a reaction. And Claire Wardle of the First Draft said that fear is one of the biggest drivers that allows misinformation to thrive. People want to help their loved ones to stay safe. So when they see tips for preventing the virus, take this health supplement, people want to do whatever they can do to help. Next, think about your biases. Are you sharing something because you know it's true or just because you like it or you agree with it? Check your biases. And the next one is turn to check fact checkers and trusted official sources. We have lots of it in Indonesia. We have checkfakta.tempo.co. You can Google it. We have turnbackhoax.id by Mavindo. We have the official sources from Cominfo. We have, of course, from the WHO. And then also from WhatsApp. You see, there is Indonesia WhatsApp Hoaxbuster number at the below of my presentations. you can contact the WhatsApp number and ask whether some information about coronavirus is true or not. Well, that's the end of my presentations. I do believe that each of us can improve our approach to informations on the internet. So let's collaborate because we're in this together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Ruth, for your comprehensive explanation why we fall for fake news and how to spot it. Now we're gonna have our other honorable speaker from Nepal, Mr. Laxman Datt. He is a media researcher, communication strategist, advocate, trainer, and also a university teacher. Mr. Laxman has an extensive knowledge in the area of media rights, freedom of expression, and media development. He started his career as a radio journalist 2 decades ago and worked with numerous media institutions in different capacities, ranging from reporter to editor. He is an author of half a dozen books that made him a well-established scholar on the Nepali media landscape. He is currently now the chairperson at Media Action Nepal and senior special correspondent at TV Today. I give you Mr. Lexman. Please, Mr. Lexman.
So, thank you for this introduction. Well, I would, in my presentation, deal in two important issues. One, the benchmark for ethical journalism, setting up with the standards and the ethical standards on preventing fake news or disinformation at the time of at the digital. Second part, I have some observation about the national and provincial media outlets, especially that of the newspapers and online. And beginning from the ethical standards, code of conduct or the professional standards in media, the ethical discourse started with the establishment of Swedish Press Council in 1916. Also, the American Society of Newspaper Editors introduced with the canons of journalism that advocated for the professionalism, decency, responsibility, press freedom, and verification. In 1930s, United States journalism accused of sensationalism, state nexus, and all, resulting to the establishment of Commission on the Freedom of Press, popularly known as Hutchins Commission, led by Chicago University's chair Robert Hutchins. That report released in 1940 recommendations. Later on, in 1950s, the umbrella organization of the journalists across the world, International Federation of Journalists in 1954, and the UNESCO in 1983 introduced with the 10 principles of press, which were popularly known as the truth, accountability, impartiality, accuracy, objectivity, professional integrity, social responsibility, respect to publication and right to privacy, ready to rectify errors. We started with the research in Nepal a few months ago, and we reviewed with these all ethical standards guiding the content of media globally. And we thought of introducing with some standards how should public understand whether media content is fake or this is full with the misinformation or disinformation. So journalism is a profession guided by ethics, and there are also laws that guides the media content across the world in different nations. So we set up with some standards in misinformation. The fake news is one, which can be false, wrong, misleading, and distorted news using data, opinion, facts, and figures. Another terminology we come across on media content is misinformation. The information shared with good intention, but lack of knowledge or limited knowledge or carelessness on part of who produces it, journalists or editors or producers or reporters. Another terminology is disinformation, the information shared with ill intention that could be partly true, completely false, or fake. And we looked into our study in 3 provinces of Nepal on the basis of 7 basic standards, and we set these standards on the basis of Journalist Code of Ethics. We also have an organization called Press Council Nepal that looks after the content media produces in Nepal. And the first element or the standards we set up was source. So if you are an audience, you have to look into the source, whether the source is anonymous. If the source is anonymous, suspect it. Or if there is no source mentioned, without mentioning the source, you should also suspect that story. And sources sometimes can be, it would be based on fiction, and sometimes protection of confidential sources. Sometimes sources are not mentioned, and sometimes if source is mentioned, but the victim's concern is not appropriately addressed. And I have already discussed on misinformation and fake news. We looked into subcategories of the disinformation in our study. False context, check whether the context is false. There may be false connection of the news sources and the reporters and all. There may be fabricated content, there may be misleading content, and sometimes media during occasions. Luckily, this time during the time of April Fool yesterday, I did not notice content relating to satire and parody, but media in their context in the name of freedom of speech. And there is also imposter content that had several forms, and there is no appropriate connection to the news story. And another disinformation is manipulated content. The context is one, but that context is distorted or manipulated. Also, there is another standards that audience should look into. Also, reporters and editors should care about this: jeopardizing social diversity. The globe is diverse, Nepal is also diverse. There are many ethnic groups, many languages, many people differences and all. So we should look into the social diversity aspect. There are content relating to hate speech, there are content relating to blasphemy, there are content relating to gender discrimination, there are content related to caste-based discrimination, religious intolerance, disability unfriendly content. Also, there is content that jeopardizes subsisting relationship between different communities or ethnic or religious groups. Obscenity, that may be in the form of text, photos, videos, and especially projecting content relating to the women or lack of gender sensitivity. Another standards that we looked into is defamatory content, mostly in the forms of character assassination, libel, or slander. And another content we looked into in our standard is content against privacy. So these are some of the standards that audience can start looking into the content coming from the media outlet, maybe radio, television, newspaper, or online. What we found in our study is that there were altogether 11,627 news stories in newspapers. We observed that is the total percentage around 69%, and 1,000 news story we observed in 10 online news portals. That totals around 32%. So what we see altogether in my first slide, I elaborated. There is misinformation and disinformation and fake stories and all stories that needs to be corrected both from the journalist and the audience. And there are some concerns that audience should look into. Let me go through some observation about the national media of Nepal. The examples and screenshots that I'm presenting here, I brought them from the national media, newspapers, and online media that also include COVID-19. There was a story 4 days ago in one of the reputed online portal in Nepal that claimed in its headline that about 500 million Indians would be infected with COVID-19 by the end of July this year. And that cited an article from the New York Times. That was an opinion, and there was no absolute justification that such opinions could be carried out in the forms of news stories. And that created, since Nepal is very closely through different borders connected to India, there was a fear among Nepalese audience as well. Likewise, the same news portal a few months ago carried out a story on eclipse. If you pee during the eclipse, you would be poor, and if you defecate during eclipse, you would born in your next life as an insect. Another story, it appeared long ago, in fact a decade ago, in one of the new online here, that claimed that one of the political parties in Nepal is the uh, number one nationalistic party in the world, and that was cited by the United Nations. So audience here needs to look into whether United Nations, UN, categorizes or looks after monitoring or categorizing or marking any political party being first or second. Story, a recent story, it was a story carried out by Nepal's leading newspaper a few months ago that claimed that the Venezuelan president Maduro is now more powerful because of Nepal's ruling party's chairman's support to him. But that has no story or analysis inside. There was no analysis how Nepal's ruling party president supported Venezuelan president, resulting giving him more strength. And by a leading newspaper. A few months ago, I went through this YouTube link. Channels here, and I went through this YouTube link. You can see in this picture United States former President Barack Obama in tension mood. He's in tears. He claimed that Barack Obama is unhappy. He's in tears because India has encroached several places of Nepal, and it was so viral. Thousands of share in Facebook and Twitter and social media. Another story about the much talked issue MCC in Nepal. This is in Nepali. Kantipur Daily is a newspaper, but that has been misused by the social media users. It is not always that journalists disseminate with fake news or disinformation. Sometimes you can see a photograph over there, and there is a slightly different, designing of a headline that students in the United States are arrested and in illegal, mama shops, the dumpling restaurants and all. And it was related to, and there was one comment about MCC on that. That was also misinformation. I mean, one of the leading daily newspaper was misused by the social media users here. This is very gender sensitivity issue. None of the audience in Nepal know that who these ladies are, but one of the leading online portals in Nepal projected these two ladies. Possibly they belong to Bollywood in India, and they claim that because of the women's these characters, there is always dispute in families and all. This is completely gender insensitive content. Another story carried out by the leading news online that the Parvez Musharraf in Pakistan would be hanged in Islamabad. His death body would be hanged in Islamabad for 3 days, and it projected in Nepali audience that Parvez Musharraf already died, which was untrue. Also, there was a story in one of the onlines here. A particular community called Gurung has been projected in the news, the headlines stating that 3 of the Gurung community youths were arrested. It is not necessary to point out a particular community. There is another story on corona, that the corona vaccine was already invented, which was carried out by the very reputed daily newspaper of Nepal, and it was shared 545 shares within few minutes. and 118 engagements through interactions, comments. That is my final slide before I suggest with some ideas how can we prevent fake news in our networks. Recently, the Press Council of Nepal took action against 17 news portals that is news about COVID-19 in Nepal. 17 of the news portals were now banned by the Telecommunication Authority as recommended by the Press Council of Nepal. Yes, there is a debate on whether Press Council Nepal should look after closure of cancellation of the registration of news media or not. But this is the situation in Nepal, as the previous panelists suggested, that there are certain ways that we should look into whether a particular news media is registered or not, whether they have a byline, a reputed reporter, or who is writing that, whether that story is cited for their story they carried out. There is factual distortion, there is photographic distortion, there is visual distortion. I would end up my presentation saying that we need larger media literacy on part of the audience, and we on part of the journalist we need broader adherence to the journalist code of ethics and ethical journalism. If we stick to these principles, I think media would also be reputed, and we would be able to share with the credible news stories. I think I should stop here, and I welcome any questions there around. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Laxman, for your extensive presentation about the benchmarking of ethical standard on preventing fake news and also sharing an insight from your country. But just wait if you have a question for Mr. Laxman, because we still have another honorable speaker from India, Mr. Prasanna Josh. He is a senior journalist with around 50 years of experience across print, electronic, and digital media. He is currently working with ABP News Network, ABP Majha News Channel in Mumbai as senior producer, anchor, and digital evangelist. He also a member of UNESCO's Global Alliance for Promoting Media and Information Literacy, and also participated in Google News Initiative Fact Check Workshop held in Mumbai. Apart from his professional career, he's been active in social initiatives and has organized seminars on topics like blogging, new media, and net neutrality. Now I give you Mr. Prasanna Joshi. Please, Mr. Prasanna.
Thank you. Could you hear me all?
Great, perfect.
My voice is perfect?
Perfect.
Audible. Yeah, thank you. Thank you to US Center Indonesia and Dosti House in Mumbai, US Consulate Dosti House in Mumbai. So I'm sharing my screen. I will start my presentation just for a second. Sorry. Yes. Can you check the? Are you able to see the slide? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Now fine. So fact checking in days of COVID-19 infodemic, and I'm thankful to Silalahi who explained the term infodemic and who invented this term and what is the importance of this term infodemic. So I won't be spending much of the time defining the term. So it is already been described. So it's not just information when you receive, it could be, as my predecessor just said, that it could be misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, information that is based on reality used to inflict harm on a person, social group, organization, or country. So misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation is, I guess, more lethal form of harmful information where the facts are correct, but they are presented in such a way that it will um, it will uh, it will ignite your emotions, or it will take to you some different way and to condition your brains, your minds, the way they wanted to react they wanted to make you react on particular thing or information. That is something. So for me, malinformation is more hazardous. Then the recent COVID-19 facts across globe and in India, I have mentioned few. COVID-19 has become airborne, which is not up to the mark, or which is not been authorized by CDC or World Health Organization. COVID-19 is spreading through pet animals. Again, I got this news from some Hong Kong-based portal, but it is again not true. COVID-19 can spread through poultry products. This caused bigger and heavy damages across the state where I live, that is Maharashtra in India. And our poultry business, they had to face losses of some thousand crores. That is some around $1 million or so. Then COVID-19 vaccine is ready, and you can get it on any day. So it is not the case. When I went on discovering about this news or searching for this news, I got to know that there are several stages when you develop a vaccine. There are testings, and then first trial, second trial, or something, and so on. Then you uh, come across a final product. So it is estimated that it will take at least 3 to 6 months where we can actually have COVID-19 vaccine, anti-COVID-19 vaccine. Traditional herbs drinks can cure COVID-19. Again, a very famous and very fastest form of misinformation, which, and I would call it misinformation, not disinformation. In India, we have a very peculiar adherence towards our traditional knowledge, and which is really respectable. But having said that, it cannot immediately take as a form of substitute for allopathic medicines, which is the course which is going on, the discourse is going on. But the way it is being presented is as if you just apply that herb or drink that potion and you will be okay, and you won't be infected by COVID-19. So again, the spread of misinformation. COVID-19 can spread through Chinese goods, so uh, don't ask for a Chinese good. Don't import Chinese goods, something like that, because it might contain COVID. Again, there is no very foolproof evidences are available that COVID-19 virus can sustain on any particular surface, and it can go on, and still you will get infected by that product because it has COVID-19 on its surface. And the biggest two conspiracy theories which are going on: COVID-19 is a bio weapon, and and COVID-19 is a conspiracy itself. Again, it has been refuted by so many times that it is not the case, and it is really a catastrophe on human existence, and all globe is united against COVID-19. Okay, so I'm a lame, I am an ordinary person, male, female, God, or anybody. Got this breaking news, so-called breaking news. Now what? So thumb rule, just apply thumb rule. So when I was in BBC as a planner, we all been taught that if anything comes across you, and it is too good to believe, then it could be too good to believe or too good to be true. So if it is too good to be true that Mount Everest is not the tallest mountain across the globe, if it is too good to be true, if you feel what is exciting news, it could be really too good to be true. So apply that thumb rule. Do I really need to react, respond, and forward this news? Is it that important that I, on my peculiar level of existence, am I supposed to forward it? Am I supposed to react, respond to it? Not at all. You can take a breath and then you can analyze. Are there any other sources confirming this? Okay, so I got this news, but can I reconfirm it? Can I check other websites as well? So I have heard about from Western media. Can I check other news media portals across different corner of the globe? But it is renowned news service, really. Have you checked original page? I know I won't mention the name, but citing that news portal, there was a news that COVID-19 is airborne, and now it can affect anybody. And it was citing a particular news website name, and then again it proved to be false and a fake news, but it could harm. So a layman who is just going after a particular name of a news channel or a news portal, that is not enough. You need to cross confirm, as Rismanta Silalahi just rightly mentioned. Check the source's source, check the alternative source. You can always do that. You just need to Google it. It's from my best friend forever, from my parents, relatives. Follow all above points. So whenever you come across any different situation, follow the first 4 points. Thumb rule. If it is too good to be true, it could be really too good to be true. So why we trust fakes at the first place? Is there any particular tendency? As Ruth Silalahi rightly mentioned, she elaborated few quotes. So, what is my impression is it is common tendency to believe or trust. This is a peculiar human tendency that we tend to believe immediately, we trust immediately, or rather, even to narrow down to that particular motion, I would say it's a knee-jerk reaction. You come across something and you directly react. That is a knee-jerk reaction. The information, stories, messages are spicy, interesting ones, and it grabs your attention. So that is the one thing. So you come across some normal news, corona deaths numbers, and infected people numbers. So that is only one thing. But if you come across some exponential numbers, some a particular country is now under the attack and it has become capital of corona across the globe. Now it will seek your attention. It will grab your attention, and you will tend to believe. You might tend to believe in that news. uh, and again, they confirm our beliefs and biases. It many times it happens so that the news source is credible, is a big news organization, could be big news organization, they have got their own reputation, but again it might happen so that that news organization believes in something, it takes side of particular political ideology or in any kind, or nationalist style of functioning. In that case, you need to again check the source and parallel source, alternative sources. Again, echo chambers come from peer groups, my uncle, my auntie, my friend, my whoever, and echo chambers. So I belong to particular WhatsApp groups, and I'm only on that kind of groups. So I accept whatever things they are giving to me, and I directly consume, which is not good. Is you need to. That's why we need to understand the concept media hygiene. They are presented in such a manner that only trained persons could decipher. So it took us, all of us who are resource persons here, it took us through days, through months of training ourselves to coming across experiences. I would like to confess here. So when I first came across the news that uh, Pope, Pope Cobain, I guess, when he met accident and he and his son, his daughter died. After a few days, his wife has also committed suicide. Came across that news, citing a reputed news agency from US. But then when I Google it, I got to know that it's a fake news. And now Mrs. Pope is, I guess, she is against filing a lawsuit against that particular news portal. Losses and damages caused by fakes in current COVID-19 epidemic. Rumor about spread of COVID-19 through chicken caused statewide disruption in poultry business in Maharashtra, which I recently mentioned. Fake news about suspected COVID-19 patients in an area society caused panic. It actually happened just by some guesswork, just by pretending, just by imagining, or you came across somebody was saying and somebody forwarded you this and that photo about that particular area. It might happen so that somebody who is actually showing you that photo or that message might hating a particular community. It could be a racist or some biased views of him or her, and you need not to address or need not to adhere to. Blind trust in so-called COVID-19 preventive measures made people complacent in some cases. It has happened in my country that just considering that our temperature in India will help us boost our immunity. No, it has not been authorized by medical agencies like CDC or World Health Organization or something like that. But we have just perceived, we have confirmed to ourselves that our temperature will help us, our immunity will help us. So it's not like that. COVID cases can be found across geographical sections of the globe, across population sections of the globe. Mal or disinformation on lockdown caused people falling into panic purchase trap. It is already, we are going through this phase in India, and our government has to again and again need to request to people that you don't need to panic and you don't need to go on purchasing things. So, how to check fake and fact? Part one. So some basic things, you need not to go to the fake busting tools. First, apply your simple brain. If the information is without source, check. One second. So if information is without source, check with reliable news agencies, authorities. Simple, turn on the TV, go to simple whatever reliable websites available in your own country, go through that, and if that news is already available, they have breaking news alerts. Just go through that. If that news is been displayed on that breaking news alert, don't over rely on single source. We all are confirming again and again that please don't rely on single source. Go to other news channels website, go to government websites, go to international organization as far as COVID-19 is concerned. Check use of language, words, and terms. Again, this point was also covered, but again, we need to reiterate it. Check use of language, words, and terms. It may happen so that the person who is trying to uh, send you or spread fake news, he may not be using peculiar scientific terms, terminologies, or words. Try to reverse search. So simple. Now, if you come across some image, what you can do is, it may not be necessary that it's a fresh image. You just put it on Google reverse search, and you may come across information that it is already been used by some photo, and it was a total different news altogether. Be aware of fact-finding tools and websites, which I'm going to mention. So here are the resources. First, World Health Organization. That is the what we can say the utmost and the best source you first go to as far as the scientific knowledge of COVID-19 spread and numbers are concerned. Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The website is given, and COVID-19 related fact check resources which are available. So there is a website boomlive.in in India. It also serves internationally. Then international news agencies, they have come up with their own fake busting desks, and you can contact them and you can verify any information coming across you. Google fact check tools are available. You can go to Google website and you can use them yourself. International fact checking network, they have country specific fake news check groups, which Ruth Silalahi just mentioned with Indonesia. There are several available, and you can add that number in your mobile and you can join that group and you can check the website or any false news. Yes, and one more important point beyond going to the typical discussion of fake news, fact, and misinformation, disinformation. So above all, we need media and information literacy. Fact checking is part of the same. So we need to go to the bigger umbrella part. So fact checking is part of media and information literacy. We need to train ourselves and people around us about how to consume mass media. We all are consumers, so we need to have media diet. We need to have media sanitization. We need to have media etiquettes. So UNESCO has launched GAPMI. It's a global alliance for partnership on media and information literacy. I'm a member of that network, and various resources, really useful resources, are at free of cost available on their website. Please be a member. You can also organize media information literacy week in your locality, in your country. You can seek help from UNESCO GAPMIL community members. And it's not just about fake news busting or anti-fake news crusade. We can go beyond that and we can sensitize our people how to consume media. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prasanna Joshi, for your detailed articles on type of fake news, how to figure out it, and a very interesting example from your country. Okay, now it's time for us to have a Q&A session. So, wow, so many questions. Great. Okay. First, it's from Wange. Since he or she said, I'm a scientist and I have a practical question. How can I talk to media so my words will not be quoted incorrectly by journalists and lead to misinformation? Have any tips, guys? So I guess this question, it will be suitable for our friend, journalist from Nepal, India. Maybe Laxman can go first, please. Laxman, do you hear my voice? Our audience asks, he's a scientist. He asks, how can I talk to media so my words will not be quoted incorrectly by journalists and lead to misinformation? Do you have any tips on that? Okay, I think Joshi can help us with this question. Joshi, please.
Yes. Am I audible? Yes. Okay. So what I get from the question is how I can approach media or particular journalists. So by that mean my work won't be misinterpreted. Is this the question? Yes. Okay. So thanks to the technology and social media, we now have individual as well as the news channel social media accounts. So suppose I represent xyznews.com. So xyznews.com has its own social media accounts on Insta, Facebook, Twitter, and so on, as well as the news reporter who is giving that particular news also has official and personal social media accounts available. You can always contact them through those social media accounts, and you can raise your points. And most of the times, it happens that they will come to you and they will correct if they have mistakenly twisted the facts.
That's a great tips from you. Thank you so much. Okay, if you don't mind, we're gonna run through to another questions. Okay, it's from Malaysia, Nurha Matram. She asks, how do we help to educate people who always use this excuse? Not sure if this is true, but I just want to share it here. When they know it hasn't been verified, but they keep sharing it via WhatsApp groups. I guess this question it will be for Ruth Rismanta. Can you help our audience about this question?
Thank you, dear viewers from Malaysia. Well, that's also the case in Indonesia. When we have member of WhatsApp group keep sending the the hoax or the fake news message, and then want to wash their hand and okay, I'm just sharing, I'm just forwarding this from another WhatsApp group. I don't know whether it's not true. Can you help? Well, you can educate them. You can tell them in contact them in a personal message. You know, sometimes when people when you tell the person in public or in the forum of WhatsApp group, it can make them feel uncomfortable. So give a personal message to this person. Tell them that it's not true. That you need to check the fact first before spreading the information, and tell them the risk of sharing hoax, because in Indonesia we do have the law for people who share the hoax. And let me check the law. Wait. Okay, so it is punishable. Tell them the risk. It is punishable under the Electronic Informations and Transactions Law with 6 years imprisonment, 1 billion rupiahs fine. So you can tell the risk, and I hope that works for that person. Thank you. You are still unmute, Devie, so I cannot hear your voice.
Sorry. Okay, Mr. Laxman, do you have any response for the same questions about maybe you have another experience in your country about the question, how do we help to educate people who always use this excuse? Not sure if this is true, but I just want to share it here. When they know it hasn't been verified, but they keep sharing it via WhatsApp groups. Do you have any opinions about that, Mr. Laxman?
Yes, people often take excuses sharing information despite the fact that they know that this is false, this is not good to share, but they share it. I would suggest the audience to stay alert, and there is a division among the people, and because of that division, even if they know it is not true, they want to say it, but they don't know the cost of affecting negatively to the public. So we should start educating the audience, different groups of audience, because there are religious groups, there are political groups, there are different women groups, there are different associations, and they have preoccupied minds in some context that they think that it is true because it is disseminated by some people they are very close to. And I suggest that everyone should keep in mind the negative impact of a story that is largely shared in our social network. So we can start educating them from the early phase of and receiving it.
Thank you, Laxman. The next question, I think it will deal with Ruth because you mentioned in your presentation about emotion. So Sarah Zibel asked, she feel like emotion has so much to do with people's reaction to misinformation. As an animal lover, I feel for so many of the animal good news stories circulating lately. Swans swimming in the Venice canals. People often react with an emotion and don't step back to consider fact checking. Let's we hear Ruth to explain this.
Okay, I don't understand the questions. Can you repeat the questions?
Yes, Sarah wants to know how can because people too emotional, the circulating of good news is always late comparing with the the more emotional, more sensational information. So uh, what do you think and how we can cope this kind of problem of the good news circulating that always lag behind the bad information?
All right. So, okay. That's the problem of the effort of reducing the spread of disinformation is because I mentioned before that people often share fake news stories on social media far more than the fact check stories that debunk those stories. So we need to educate people. So this is a very long term action. Educate people with media literacy, and we we cannot rely on fact checking only. We also have to educate the lay people about media literacy, how they use their smartphone, how they access informations, how they criticize informations that they receive on social media. And first, well, you have as human, you have to acknowledge that you have your bias. You have to acknowledge that you have uh, easily moved by emotions. But being aware of that conditions is one important step. And then you need to check your own bias, check your own emotions. Am I triggered with these informations or not? So let's be more careful in consuming informations on social media, and we can try to educate people. Start from our closest relatives, our family, our friends, so we can amplify the effect of media literacy education. Thank you. Back to you, Devie.
Thank you, Ruth. So I still on going to that question to Josie and also Lexman, because there was a research telling that why many good information is always left behind because the journalists, the media mainstreams also not really serious to spread your verified information into the social media channels, because we cannot deny that all information, the faster information, is goes to and viral with the social media channel. So, what happened in your country? Do you have this kind of same experience, or you can tell us more? Please, Josie.
Uh, Devi, could you please narrow down the question? Could you elaborate that question in very specific terms?
Okay, there is a question that talking about how good information or verified information is left behind from the bad information. One of the critics is because the journalists, the media mainstream, cannot use all the sources, especially social media, to push your verified information. So please tell us what happened in your country. Do you have a same experience or not?
Yes, yeah, yes, that's true. That may happen so, and as the term infodemic is basically which narrates the term that the infodemic virus is much more stronger and much more faster than the COVID itself. So verified news comes through various filters. That's why it's a verified news. But rumor has no legs; it has wings, and it can go make rounds all across the globe through social media. So when a news comes, as we all are journalists and communication professionals, we all knew that first news comes on our desk, on our mobile, then we'll verify through various sources. But for the rumor rumor makers or the fake news makers, they don't need to check the facts, because that is not the intention they want to come across. They have already their intention that we need to spread the fake news. So that's why they spread it through various groups. And then there are various emotional aspect, that anxiety, then fear, then concern, then hatred. So they play a major role behind this spread of fake news. And that, as I said, that you might get interest in that fake news. Nobody's interested in some fact checking, some graphs and this thing. Or everybody's interested in breaking news or something big news. See this, have you confirmed this? COVID-19 has been airborne now. Who is confirming this? Is it just a spicy and nice news? And then, as somebody just asked, that it is not verified, but can you check this? And everybody is sending the same message with the same question, that please check it, but everybody is forwarding the same. It creates a virtual reliance over that news, virtual reliance, a quasi, something like a semi reliance on that news, as if this news is correct. But meanwhile, we as a journalist fraternity, we are already working in the news. We are asking people around it. And let me also elaborate here. The confirming authorities, as far as COVID-19 is concerned, they can't confirm or deny anything which is coming across you. So suppose if I'm a person from CDC or World Health Organization, and you're coming with some news that somebody is saying this is happening, I again need to go through my processes at my own backend, in my office, in my research team, in my all my scientist fraternity. They will confirm something. Now, as I can tell you, I can share my experience from India. We for last some few days, around 1 week or so, across India, there was almost nobody was buying newspapers, and even newspapers stopped printing the newspaper because of the impression that the coronavirus can sustain on surface of the paper. But when it was verified by the authorities, by the global authorities, then we have again started publishing newspapers, and we have started receiving newspapers at our doorstep. But in meanwhile, it has to be verified by the concerned authorities. So as that the person who asked the question, he's right, he or she is right in that way, that fake news are faster than the real news, because fake news need not to be confirmed, and the people who are spreading it, they don't care for the confirmation, whereas we actually take care of that, and we take responsibility, and it has to go through various stages. That's why it takes time.
Thank you, Prasanna. Okay, for Laxman, I have another questions from Tertiani Simanjuntak from Indonesia. She asks, which issues in specific are the most frequently verified by the fact checkers in your country? Is it the myth surrounding the virus, the cure, or the numbers? Laxman, do you hear the questions?
I could not hear you, the second part of your question.
She asked about, is it the myth surrounding the virus, the cure, or the numbers that most frequently verified by your fact checkers in your country, in Nepal?
The newspaper misleading headlines are a big headache here in Nepal. In newspapers or in novels, or these days television and radio content is very easily accessible and readily available in internet through social media channels, including YouTube. And they tend to put up very lucrative headlines and claiming that something has happened, but that misleading headlines, they don't have any clue to their story. So, and these headlines are largely rapidly shared by the social media users, because in social media everyone has access. You don't need to be a journalist, or you don't need to be out. So misleading headlines are something that fact checkers are checking around. And the information related to during the time of elections or the pandemic like COVID-19, the media is concerned about TRP, uh, boosting up their target rating points. They want to reach out to larger number of people. And people are also they are biased towards some associations, organizations, political parties, and they want to share it. They don't want to. Very few people in Nepal check with the rest of the story. They just hang around the headlines, and they just believe that this is true, and they keep on disseminating that. So misleading headline is one thing, and the videos. There is another headache in Nepal, especially that of the videos. There is no distinction between who can be a journalist and who should be a journalist. So there are many YouTube channels in Nepal, and they claim to be journalists. It is good that even citizens disseminate information through YouTube channel or social media, but they have never been oriented on the issues of news verification, ethical journalism, impact of disinformation in our society. So yes, it depends upon the type of media that Nepalese or any audience across the world consume it. But there are information that needs to be verified both from the audience and the editors.
Thank you. So from Nepal experience, it will be the type of media like videos and then headlines. But how about in Indonesia? Do you have any data route or which issue that most or always be the top rank from fact checkers in Indonesia? What kind of topics that the most headline for the fake news from the fact checkers team?
Is it related to the COVID-19, you mean?
Of course, COVID-19, but other you can say other data,
Okay.
not only the COVID things.
Okay, so from the data, well, the political fake news is number one, and then racism, SARA, related to SARA is number two, and health is number three. But this during this period of coronavirus, of course, the health information is the most information that is being fact checked by the fact checkers. But if you ask whether it is the cure or the method or the policy that is spreading, floating around social media, I don't actually have the data, but I think it's the cure because people is waiting for people is waiting in uncertainty. We don't know the cure, we don't have the vaccine yet, and every time, and this is used by the producers of fake news and disinformations to grab their attentions by telling them, oh, this is the cure, this is the effective way to be immune from coronavirus. Like Prasanna Joshi has mentioned that if it's good to be true, then it's good to be true. So let's be patient. Let's be critical for any information that we receive from the social media. But I think it's the cure of the coronavirus that is mostly being fact checked by the fact checkers. But I need to check the data.
Okay, thank you, Ruth.
Yeah.
And please, Prasanna, can you share also your experience? What kind of headline that the get the most attention from fact checkers around the COVID team or before the COVID outbreaks? Do you have any data? Which issue is the most common checked by the fact checker in your country?
Yes, I don't have specific data on offhand, but I would definitely like to say that there were a few things Indians were more concerned about, and they are still concerned about, and they are reacting to any information coming across. The first is lockdown. So India is currently under the lockdown stage, and it is expected that it will be lifted by 14th of April. That is first thing. Now things are there are rumors going on that the lockdown will extend till May end, month of May end, or till June as well. So people are concerned that because in India it's a summer season and we have school breaks, we have vacations in the school. So people are concerned that if this corona lockdown continues even after month of the April, then what about month of June and July when new fresh admissions take place? That is the first concern. So any news which has anything mentioned as far as lockdown is concerned, we have like a big eyes towards that news. So everybody is looking for that news. Hashtag lockdown, anything about that. That is the first thing. Secondly, about everybody is more concerned about the spread of coronavirus. So any news or any keyword which is related with corona is spreading through this and that. So people are really eager to believe. I would rather say eager to believe on anything which confirms any interesting news. I guess sometimes it is like a self-harming tendency of human being, I don't know, but we are really ready to express our beliefs in anything comes across. Like COVID can spread through vegetables, COVID can spread through this and that. And the simple logic they are applying is if somebody is already COVID infected, if he or she touches that vegetable or meat, it will transmit a disease. It is not as simple as that. Had it been so, the governments and the CDC and organizations like World Health Organization must have already published this fact, which is the case. But again, for due to vested interest and again just spreading the panic for some very what is the cruel type of pleasure somebody is seeking. They're spreading this news and they're actually making people feel the losses for themselves. That is the second thing. Third thing, if you come across any word, cure is found for COVID-19, use this herb and use that herb. So I would like to share you some experience that in Maharashtra, the state where I live, somebody raised that issue that you need to drink black coffee with black coffee and some spices added. And not only that, don't drink only directly. You need to drink it in the stroke of the at the stroke of the midnight, and you need to utter something, and it will cure you, and or it will protect you from corona spread or you coming across corona. So that is things, and we are laughing here, but you can you imagine people actually started practicing that? It's happening here. So I won't mention the actual medicine which is already in the news, and globe over many institutions are focusing on that set of medicines which can cure or at least they can reduce the impact of coronavirus load in your body. Somebody just break that news or somebody just mention that name of that medicine in India, it had like a wildfire effect on social media, and now we don't get that medicine from our medical stores. That is the case. So that is happening. So when there is a pandemic, something like this, Corona, COVID-19, or any bigger terrorist attack or something like that, I guess information infodemic and fake news is the biggest threat more than any terrorist attack. I would also like to conclude my statement here that not less than government of India and even Supreme Court of India have expressed their concern, and government of India has already officially said that we can contain the virus but we cannot contain the fake news.
Okay, thank you so much, Prasanna. Okay, we're gonna through to the next question. It's from Facebook. Lata Lavanya from India. She asks, how can we identify the real message from fake messages? Can Laxman help us with this question?
Well, I can, yes. There are some concrete ways we can, differentiate fake news and real news, and make sure that you are consuming a journalistic media content. If you are logging into, Facebook or Twitter or other forms of social media, make sure that you are consuming a content that is disseminated by a reputed media, the recognized journalist, legally registered media house. Make sure. And if you ensure that you are receiving the message from a journalistic media outlet, then check with who is writing that story and whether that story has been given credit to the wire services, news agencies or not. And also check with the digital distortion. If they are photographs, check whether photographs are previously used or not. There are some, you can check in some softwares, they are available. Even if they are not available, you just check it whether that photo has been already used or not. During the time of flood, during the time of earthquake disaster here in Nepal, many photographs were used from the other countries. The similar type of incidents took place in maybe in Bangladesh or India or Pakistan or Indonesia. Those photographs are used by the media outlets here in Nepal, stating that this photograph relates to a particular incident here. So check who is writing this story. Check whether you are consuming social media outlet or the journalistic content. Check whether that news has been credited or not. Check the source of information, who are cited, who are quoted. If there is anonymous source, that a news story does not want to mention, suspect it. There are some areas where the source can be kept confidential. For example, sexual harassment, rape cases, fraud, human rights violations, where victim wants their safety. You can do that. But in general, source must be mentioned. And so someone is saying that our source is anonymous, we don't want to mention it, suspect it. These are some ways. And many of the countries across the world and in this region, Southeast Asia or South Asia, they have laws. Media needs to be registered, be it online newspaper or radio or TV or say traditional ways of communication. Check whether they are registered with the authorities or not, and also check that whether they are compatible. Their work is compatible to journalist code of conduct or not. So as an audience, you should also look into the operating media and journalism laws. What operates journalism? So these are some of the ways we can have a quick check, and don't be emotional, and think twice or thrice before you share it to your social media link. These are some ways we can be safe and we can distinguish real news and fake news.
Okay, Prasanna, you want to add something, please?
Add here from taking cue from Laxman. Actually, again, while believing in particular news or calling a particular news or news source credible, there is a problem. Let me express my experience. There is a very famous and very renowned and respected news website in India. Not going to mention the name. They carried a news that in COVID-19 is in stage 3 in India. COVID-19 is in stage 3 in India. That was the headline reads. Okay, now that is one thing. Now let's come to the photo of that news, where the photo caption reads that we, and somebody is saying the quoted part, we are at the beginning of the stage 3. I guess there is a huge difference in between you are in the stage 3 and you are entering or at the doorstep of the stage 3. Stage 3 is, it's like a community spread. We all know that stage 3 for COVID-19 is community spread. And very respected website, news website, when it says or it carries that spicy and juicy headline that India is in stage 3, it actually killing the journalistic, not just ethics, but the basic principle that check your facts and figures. And not only that, it was not an interpretative news. They actually quoted somebody saying that who is representing a particular task force appointed by government of India. As a concerned journalist, I asked the question to that news house to tweet, but I haven't received any answer. But again, as Lakshman was rightly saying, or we all are saying, that we need to cross confirm the sources and also the parallel sources.
Okay, thank you so much, Prasanna, for the additional information. Now we're gonna through to other question from Igor Carvalho from Timur Leste. We got the question from Facebook. He asked, how about the news that now spread about the coronavirus is a biological weapon from China? And China pointed that it's from America. How can we know which one is true? And I still confused about how to confirm that the news are fake. I hope Ruth can help to explain this question.
Okay, so dear viewer from Timor-Leste, if you listen to Prasanna's presentations before, he actually mentioned about this conspiracy thing. And well, if it's not mentioned in the mainstream media, in the trusted sources, official sources, then we can say that it's fake. And Prasanna already mentioned that it's fake. So don't be confused. If you cannot verify the information from trusted official sources, that kind of conspiracy things is fake, and it's going to be viral during this period. And please spare your energy into more positive things to do rather than trying to find out about these conspiracy things. Keep healthy, and then why don't you try the several tips or several strategy that has been explained by me, by Prasanna, and by Laxman, how to check the informations whether it's fake or not. Thank you.
I just want to add something because there is a previous research that said that people think social media like Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram is an official media, a trusted sources, and that just only happened in Indonesia, but also countries like even United States. How do you comment about that?
Me? Okay, so which the question is referred to me or to Prasanna or Laxman, Devi?
I want to hear from you and also from Prasanna and Laxman too.
Okay, so Facebook, Twitter, and well, in this convergence era, the mainstream media also use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram to spread their media, to their information, their news, to probably to reach more audience. But we need to be careful. We need to be careful that. Imposter of official sources, it's possible to imposter the official sources. So you need to check, cross check many sources. That, well, it's really big effort, but you need to do it. So we need to check whether the account of that mainstream media in Facebook, in Twitter, or Instagram is real account or not. Okay, so we can be sure whether it's really the real account or not. And if you are saying that people is trusting more Facebook, Instagram, or any other social media as a news source, yeah, it's true. But then after hearing these presentations, we need to be careful about consuming information from those platforms.
Okay, Prasanna, I want to hear from you because from my own experience, especially the elderly people, they think that WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook is a media. It's a formal media and a very trusted institutional. So they always believe what happened, whatever information that came out from those platforms. What happened in your country?
Yeah. This experience is same across the globe. We are humans together, so we are already doing the same mistakes again and again as a human being. But the problem is, it is not the case. So social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram, or so on, they all are social media, and the authorities of those companies do not take responsibility of which is what is being said or done or what is being expressed on that social media websites, whereas we as the news channels or news websites or radio or television or any sort of news media which is news media itself, which is registered under the land of law of the land, we are liable and we are responsible for whatever is going on print, on air, or on audio waves. That is the first thing. So that's why social media cannot exactly take the position of mainstream news media, so called, what we call it. So there has to be a difference. So that's why when I concluded my PPT, PowerPoint presentation, the last slide was talking about media and information literacy. So we need to literate people. So fact news checking is the only one part of media literacy. So it is not even enough that I'm checking a particular fact and I'm sensitive. I have sensitized myself or I have sensitized my information. That is only one part. Again, what I'm consuming, why I'm consuming a particular mode of information only, why I'm consuming a particular news channel only. Is there any alternative available? Is there any alternative opinions also available? We need to cross confirm, and there lies the problem. So if I'm confirming a particular, see, as far as COVID-19 is concerned, it's all about scientific know-how. And you can confirm, you can cross-confirm. But when it comes to religion, history, your beliefs, your nationalist viewpoints, it becomes a bitter experience for you. You need to train yourself that you need to go beyond your impressions and whatever you believe in. And it is a really hard process. First, because you need to fight with yourself to confront your own emotions and your own biases. That is the problem. So again, coming back to your main point, so we also it tend to happen in India that something is spread on news channels or especially news social media website, and then it ultimately concludes in some violent reactions and so on. But again, government is taking positions on it and they are trying to curb these incidents. But the problem with the government is if you try to control the social media, then people will raise their voices that it is indirect emergency or it is indirectly regulation of freedom of speech. So that is the problem we all are facing across the globe. And I guess continuous harmony among the authorities and social media practitioners and people in general, and basically media and information literacy is the only way ahead, I guess.
Okay, thank you, Prasanna. We'll go to Laxman, but with the next question. It's also from Facebook, from Sucheta Gandhi. Regarding fake news, always there is fake information. So, how to bifurcate it, as sometimes it comes from some media sources itself? Please help Laxman about this question.
That is true. Sometimes information comes from reputed media. In my presentation, I had a slide that one of the reputed media in Nepal quoting New York Times and claiming that by the end of July in India, 500 million people would be infected positive with COVID-19. So you must be skeptical. You should check it. You should recheck it. At the time of crisis, at the time of pandemic or epidemics or disaster and all, there are people who sometimes want to influence their interest. So you need to be very skeptical towards the content you consume. And yes, sometimes reputed media come up with that information, and they damage overall credibility of journalism as well. All you need to do, you should be skeptical, and you should be able to identify whether this has been appropriately sourced, this has been appropriately credited for the text or photographs or videos used on that. These are some of the techniques you can differentiate the fake story from the real story. I just want to put on this social media kind of thing, that your previous question, because in Nepal there are there are 10 million Facebook account currently in use. Of 30 million population, 10 million Facebook accounts. And I often come across these accounts, and they are parody accounts, satirical accounts, and multiple accounts of the same person. It is sometimes difficult for us or you to identify whether it is a real Facebook account of an individual, for example, Donald Trump or Modi or Oli here, or politicians, sometimes celebrities. There are multiple accounts, and their opponents sometimes share with some information that is indeed not true. So you have to check whether that Facebook account or Twitter account is real. You have to check it, and you have to make sure that the official accounts are official. Sometimes we cannot avoid social media accounts. These days, many online news portals, including that of television stations, they put their content on Facebook first, YouTube first, and many people watch them through social media. So you have to make sure that the social media you are consuming is really official. You can verify it, but at the same time there is digital distortion, there is photographic distortion, animated content is there. You must be aware, for which I think we should start with training and education and capacity building of the prospective users of social media, maybe youths. And yes, elderly people are tend to use social media account, and they share on their link, believing that the message shared in WhatsApp group or Viber group or Twitter and Facebook, it is true. So I think broader education is needed, training is needed, discussions are needed, and media literacy is needed. And for media literacy, everyone has a role to play. It is not for journalists to communicate, media literacy kind of thing all the time, but we should insert this social media and media literacy classes to the youths and youngsters of all countries around.
So much. We still have
Thank you.
questions. Okay, wow. It's so many questions. Okay, there is one from Lata Lavanya from India from Facebook. She asked how to overcome the psychological fear of the coronavirus. Maybe Ruth, you can help our friends from India about this question.
Okay. Well, how to deal with this psychological fear? Fear is normal during this time. So it's normal to experience fear, but do not feed your fear. And you need to know when to stop consuming information from your WhatsApp group or from your social media. You need to know when to rest. There is symptoms that emerge from this outbreak because people need to quarantine themselves. People need to stay at home. Psychosomatic syndrome, that people starts to feel something wrong with their throat, something wrong with their lung, they have headache, or even though there is no actual evidence of physical disease in their body, that is called psychosomatic. But how to deal with the fear itself? It's okay if you are scared about these situations. We are all scared about these situations, but let's be positive and then consume informations that is positive for your psychological well-being. And you need to know when to stop consuming information from your WhatsApp group, especially if it's fake news, if it's spreading fear, and then it's not healthy for your psychological well-being. I think that's all.
Okay, thank you, Ruth. Next question, it's from Facebook. It's from Nepal. Rosie Lobchan. He asked, can any one of the speaker give a real life example on how they have politely corrected people who constantly share online fake news over social media? Please, Prasanna, can you help me with this question?
uh, what I understood from this question is something about we as a journalist some real time experience on about social media and fake news. But can you narrow down again, please? No, you're not audible.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, go on.
All right. Okay.
Can you
He Hello. Okay. He asked, can anyone
Yeah.
can give a real life example on how we can politely correct people who constantly share online fake news over social media?
Yes, yes, yes. So on Facebook or Twitter, as far as I'm because I know for sure on Facebook, you can report if you found particular content which is defamatory or which can spread nudity, violence, or anything so, and racial remarks and so on. You can report that account to Facebook, and Facebook, after verifying your request or your complaint, they can actually act on that account. They might suspend it, they might showing him notice, they can send him or her some notice or so. There is already that kind of machinery is available as far as Facebook is concerned. I am sure even Twitter can do that. It has happened in India that after complaints, I don't know if there is a number, there is a constraint or requirement of a particular number, but if few people are raising really serious concern of particular person's Twitter account, and if you raise that question to Twitter, and Twitter takes the cognizance of the same, it can suspend that account, or it can permanently bar that person from using Twitter. So uh, those ways are available where you can actually put your concern, and you can ask the social media websites, the owners of the social media websites, to act upon that particular what we can say that particular account who is spreading fake news or that kind of content.
Okay, Laxman, about this question, I think it has a cultural constraint because, like in Indonesia, when is the fake information is in WhatsApp group, sometimes we don't dare to say something that it's a fake news because we afraid to jeopardize our relationship with the a member of the groups. What happened in your country? Maybe you have another experience from Nepal about this.
Well, yeah, there are information spread among the people through these different groups, WhatsApp group or Viber group, sometimes in Facebook and Twitter as well. You have to identify the root of that information. Don't be in hurry to spread it again. So identify the root. Where has it come from? If you are able to identify, reach out to the root of that information, that would help you report it to the people who has written that story, who has created that story. Is that the story created by journalists? Is that a story created by the interest groups? Is that a story created by the religious groups or politicians or say activists? If you are able to identify it, it will help you report it. You can then report it to the Viber admin or Facebook admin or the Facebook groups, Facebook reports. If it is a journalistic content, and if you suspect that it is not in the notice of an editor, you can write an immediate letter to the editor through finding out his or her
Okay, thank you, Lexman. But I want to hear also an experience.
finding out his or her email ID or Facebook ID and all, then you can report it to. If you really think that it is a journalistic content, you have to be able to identify the orally and legally look after the media content. For even Nepal, if there is any case that goes against the journalistic that is fake, that is hard improvements on that. But that information is really that of a grave violation issues, political issues. There is again, law implementing agencies, for example, court. But I would not suggest anyone to, uh, go to police or file a case on criminal offense in a journalistic content disseminated through journalistic media. But social media, it's not under the control of journalists. Many people use it. So the main thing is to identify the creator of the information, creator of the news story. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to hear an experience from Indonesia because in our country, in Indonesia, we tend to keep harmony. So you cannot say something bad in a group. So that's why you let other people when they spread fake news. Do you have an experience about that, Ruth?
Okay, so this is very culturally sensitive. You cannot scold elderly. It is not easy to talk. You just cannot scold them. So the polite way is, I would say sorry, but this is hoax. But it's not enough. You need to provide more. Sorry, auntie, this is hoax. This is what I found. This is the debunk. This is the correct or verified informations. And please refrain yourself from spreading this kind of informations. Or if you don't want to do it in the forum of the WhatsApp group, do it in personal message. Call her, call him, and then or you teach your auntie, your mom, your in-laws how to do it. Okay, mom. So this is what I do. What I do with my mom. Mom, this is fake news about paracetamol. This is how you do it. You go to Google and then you type paracetamol hoax or not, and then come on, try it. And then she found very many informations about hoax about paracetamol. And then okay, that's the way you warn them about the fake news. So well, it's very culturally sensitive. You cannot scold elderly people, but you can do it. If no one do it, we will be part of this amplifying system of the spreading of the fake news. So we have to have the guts to do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the very technical tips. We will try on that after this. Okay, we still have two last questions. Actually, we have many questions, but don't worry. our friends from many countries. The speakers will answer the questions written, the answer, so you don't need to worry. But for this two last question, it's from Facebook's Sika Nupane. She asks, how much of a personal bias example, a willingness of information to be true, contribute in a share of misinformation or fake news? Maybe we can start from Laxman.
Could you repeat the question? I think there is no audio.
Okay, how much of a personal bias example, a willingness of information to be true contributes in a share of misinformation or a fake news? She asked about this example of personal bias that boosts the spread of fake information.
That is key, understanding the value of disinformation. Value in the sense that if I at my presentation told that there are personal biases. Our society is divided into different groups, and if you cannot put away yourself from the different interest groups and the personal biases, as a journalist you won't be able to disseminate true information, and that would affect the society at large. So the first and foremost thing to prevent disinformation or fake news or misinformation or whatsoever the standards I discussed earlier in my presentation, you need to be fair enough, and you need to avoid the personal biases, be that of the religion or gender or ethnic groups or geography, or say personal interest or personal motivations, political biases. If you are able to do that, then people would also trust the way you communicate, the content you disseminate among the people. That is very important to separate ourselves from any kind of personal biases. If you could start looking into the media your career and media content being independent and not biased, then people would respect your information. People would easily say that yes, this information is okay to consume. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, for the last question will be for Prasanna, Ruth, and also Laxman too. There's a question from Lata Lavanya from Facebook. She asks how Asian government tighten the control on social media to combat fake news.
Okay, so we don't really tighten the social media. We have a good relationship with those big tech companies, with those platforms. Not tighten, but work hand in hand. Work hand in hand with the Facebook, with the Twitters, with the Instagram, so they can do their part to actually manage the spread of fake news in their platform. So we don't tighten the use of social media. We work with them. We work hand in hand with them so they can do their part. So like WhatsApp, like Facebook, flagging the fake news informations, and then reporting, and then that kind of stuff. That means we're working together. That's why at the end of my presentations, let's collaborate.
So much, Ruth, and we would also like to hear from Prasanna. Can you add about that?
Yeah, so control on social media by government. Well, India, we have really open environment as far as social media expression through social media is concerned. And if you look at the basic structure of social media, all these companies and servers are basically out of India. The companies are out of India and their servers are out of India. So if anything has to be done with the social media accounts, the comments, and etc., the government needs to contact the companies abroad, offshore, which are like in US or so, and then they need to put the request, and then the company will revoke anything on that particular account. But however, said that the government doesn't get into daily some big or small events going on social media, or any normal fake news circulating on social media, because it will be really tiring on part of government to deploy a particular state as unless until it has become a great phenomena which is causing distress violent movements or violent eruptions of emotions and acts in that regard. Unless until that government, it's like just putting your hand tight and you have eyes wide open and you are looking at the things. That is what government stance is as far as social media in India is concerned. However, government does monitor things on social media, and if anything wrong is going on, is especially suppose like now in days of COVID-19 coverage, so government has like a monitoring service on social media. If anything goes wrong, I would like to yes, I would definitely like to cite an example here. Yesterday it was 1st of April, the April Fool's Day across the globe. So government of Maharashtra and I guess government of India as well, they issued notice across India that you cannot crack jokes or you cannot fool anybody just because it is April Fool's Day. So you cannot mingle with the information on COVID, such a serious issue like a COVID-19, and you can use that thing for sake of fooling somebody. So by that way, government does try to control the media, but in good, what we can say, in good regard. So there is not ill will. There is not a ill will of semi-censorship. It was in favor for the people only. That is the example I would like to share.
Okay, thank you, Prasanna. We would like to also hear from Laxman, please.
Yeah, but it's very interesting question, but I have different opinion on that. The social media or say media should not be controlled as such. It should be regulated. So yeah, there is ongoing debate and dialogue in Nepal because Nepal is going through different legal amendments also in media. And last year only, government introduced with an act called Information Technology Act, the analysis of which is available online. I have done it for the Committee to Protect Journalists and Media Action Nepal together with. But I want to say that yes, the servers are outside. But there was a rumor a few months ago, and yes, in fact, there was a proposal by the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology here in Nepal that the YouTube or Facebook and any other social media outlet, these platforms should be registered with the government of Nepal with a department called Department of Information and Broadcasting. But it is not at passed, but there are ongoing discussions. And yes, what I see here in Nepal, be it media content or social media, if you are there to criticize the government atrocities, if you are there to watch upon the wrongdoings of the governments, yes, even if the government is democratic, they tend to come to you and they would say that no to your content. Recently, what happened a few days ago, one of the experts associated with the Prime Minister's office, blamed for controlling or hacking a news portal site here in Nepal. That news portal site only 2 days ago. So there are attempts sometimes by the power holders, but as such, laws in Nepal are very, affirmative, and they are in favor of the, protection of media. And yes, Nepal is as such state party to several international treaties. And yes, social media's content should be regulated, and for which there is no specific body who could look after the social media content here in Nepal. But yes, there are some organizations preparing social media guidelines, what should be posted and what should not be posted. It is up to you. It is up to a particular profession what should be posted in a Facebook or what should be posted in a Twitter account. So I think the literacy classes should go beyond our digital discussions, and people would know about it more, what is wrong and what is right, posting in Facebook or social media or in the media content. But I'm in favor of regulating media, not controlling media content, be it in Facebook or in the social media or in mainstream media. Thank you.
Thank you for all your thoughtful opinions. So we're getting close to the end of our time together. If there is one thing you would like the audience to take away from this session, what would it be? I hope each speakers can answer with a different takeaway. Let's start from Ruth. Thank you.
Okay, we need to do our part. We can do it, as even though you are not a professional fact checker, you're not a professional journalist, you're just lay people, you can do your part to combat these fake informations. All these presentations will be shared to you. Please read it, learn about it. You can ask more questions, and then you can learn more about fake information and how to combat it. And yeah, let's collaborate.
Prasanna, please.
Yes, I would like to conclude my session with a few remarks or few friendly suggestions that consuming media is as important as consuming food. So, instant food, it may be tasty, but it may not be healthy. As simple as that, because your mother or somebody at your home, maybe your father or yourself, you're making that food for yourself because you care yourself. So that's why whatever is outside, you need to be extra careful about that. That is first thing. Secondly, just because somebody really trustworthy and it's giving you on and on, that doesn't mean you need to eat always every time. So again, the word media diet comes here. You need to consume in media in such a way that it won't eat out your own brain. That is the second thing. Then media sanitization, as I said, media etiquettes or media sanitization. Just like when you eat food, you take care that you are eating a really fresh and clean environment and fresh food. Just like that, when you are coming across news, just make sure that news is fresh, news is authentic, made with good, really good sources, good ingredients, and really good ingredients. And if at all, if news is negative, let's go for a different kind of scenario. So you come across a news which is factually correct, but it is negative news. You need to ask yourself that am I supposed to really consume that news? Is it that necessary? It is something happening across different part of the globe, which is fine. My heart goes for them. But am I supposed to really act on that news? Am I supposed to uh, make a negative impression on my mind when I'm starting my day? You did not do. So it is everything which is available on your platter is not for consumption. It's like a buffet dinner. It's like a buffet lunch. But having said that, you have a buffet. You need not to go for each and every desk, and you need not to take on in your platter, in your plate. So have a media diet, and for that, what you need is media and information literacy. We need to be literate. We need to be. We need to percolate media literacy in ourselves. How to consume media than any sort of media. So be literate about the media. Be aware of what you are consuming, and take care of yourself.
Thank you so much, Prasanna. Please, Laxman, please give.
Well, I don't have much to say, but I have suggestions for both audience and the media. Media, write responsibly, be accountable towards the content you create. Do not harm anyone. And you can criticize. You can, media can criticize. Media can watch upon the wrongdoings of the state powers or any other type of power, but be responsible toward the content you disseminate. And for audience, you find out the root, you find out the source, you find out who is writing this, and you think thrice before you share it. You may be influenced, because you are biased, you have biases. Everyone has biases. They are affiliated with some other things or some other associations. So think before sharing it to your social networks, and take care of the people who are disseminating it, who are writing it, and who is saying that. It is very important. And what is the impact going to have? Sometimes, things can be true, but that would harm. If something is true, you should hold it for a moment if it is going to harm large number of people. And it happens during the time of crisis. Now the globe, not only Nepal or this region, facing a problem, but the world is facing a problem, that of the COVID-19, the coronavirus pandemic. So write responsibly, be accountable, and you can watch up on the wrongdoings being accountable. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We really do appreciate for all the audience for your interest in this very important issue. Thank you for the speakers for very great and thoughtful ideas, opinions about this issue. For audience, you can ask for the question for the presenter right after this by contacting them to their social media. And don't worry about all your questions. Like I did mention, the speakers will answer too. And thank you so much also for the at American team. You've done very great to help this conversation, this presentation being a good event. So everyone keep safe and healthy at home. God bless you and also your family.
Thank you, Devie, and thank you to all of our presenters for joining us today. I'd like to say a special welcome and thanks out to all of our viewers today. We had viewers from Timor-Leste, from Philippines, from Malaysia, from Tajikistan, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Indonesia, so many countries, so many great questions. We're trying to do our best to review all of those and give you answers. And we hope to see you again here on At America. So goodbye for now. And remember, always check the sources and think carefully before you forward or share any news stories. Bye bye, everybody. Thank you. Bye bye.